Meet Dave of Delusions of Grandeur, actor, producer, and director of films like Tales of the Forgotten. He has come to assemble a team of freaks, geeks, and even worse, film nerds, to discuss films ranging from mainstream to downright crazy. There is Tammy car enthusiast and Dave's fiance, Dustin reptile expert and overall horror collector, Jake environmentalist and fine art film critic, and finally Brandon, a therapist with a love of film that can only be seen as insanity. Together under Dave's leadership, they are Inside Movies Galore. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show.
Alrighty. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Inside Movies Galore. I am one of your hosts. But tonight we are continuing the Halloween month with, I would have to say, an actual Halloween movie. To boot, it's actually coming from our good friend Jacob here. So, Jake, why don't you tell us what movie you subjected us to this week?
Okay. So tonight's movie is a movie that, in case it's not already strange enough that we're delving right into Halloween-focused films with a vengeance with a movie that I've chosen, but it's a zombie film, which is not really my cup of tea normally, but every now and then I'll see one that intrigues me, and this did so. This is the 2019 Jim Jarmusch film, The Dead Don't Die, which IMDb has an absolutely atrocious description of it. The focus is on the sleepy small town of Centerville, where the dead become undead. I mean, it's to the point, but But the basic gist of the film, just to elaborate slightly, and of course, as we get into it, we'll get into it. This is a film. What's that?
I was going to say, I would have to say, just when you think it's a zombie film.
Yes, exactly. It is a zombie film, but perhaps to even as great a degree as last week's offering, this is an art house movie, and a very strange one at that. Jim Jarmusch is an odd director, and he works here with frequent collaborators Tilda Swinton and Bill Murray, and Tom Waits, and Iggy Pop. All of them are in a lot of his movies, along with a who's who of people. You've got a fascinating cast here. In addition to them, you've got Adam Driver, Chloe Sevigny, Steve Buscemi, Danny Glover, a pre-Oscars Austin Butler, Selena Gomez, Rosie Perez, RZA, Carol Kane. You've got a cast here. And that's one of the fun things about Jarmusch's films, is he does assemble oddball casts. Written and directed by Jarmusch, of course. So let's go ahead.
And this is the second zombie movie that you have Bill Murray show up in.
At least the second one, yes. Although here he's not just one of the great cameos of all time. Here he's actually a full-on co-star in the film. But anyway, let's go ahead and go around the room here. And we will start with you, Tammy. Have you ever seen The Dead Don't Die before, or is this your first time? And what's your take on it?
I guess David and I did watch it before. I I remembered certain things, certain parts. It's been a while since we watched it,
Mhm.
but I did remember certain things. Um, I, I found it somewhat amusing because it was, David and I were talking. Like, okay, that phrase has been repeated by three people in a row. You know, and um what was the nothing good it will come out of this, or there won't be nothing good in the end, or something he kept saying.
This
Yeah,
isn't going to end well, I think.
yeah, this isn't going to end well. Yes, he kept saying that throughout
Yeah,
the movie.
yeah.
But
There was another thing that was said. It must be a wild animal. There must be several wild animals.
like all
Right,
three of
right,
like three of them said that in a row, and it was
right.
like so yeah, I mean, it really wasn't well, to me it wasn't that gory, you know
Mhm.
um but I I thought it was fun. I'm not a big zombie movie person,
Mhm.
you know, but I just thought it was fun. I thought it was interesting. You know, it was amusing, but then did have your zombie like creatures um and Miss Samurai Sword, and then
Mhm.
yeah, she was very good with that sword. Um,
Right.
but yeah, it was fun.
All
I liked
right.
it.
Good
It's a little
deal.
bit different. It wasn't just a horror movie, totally. So
Right. Okay. Does that wrap up your thoughts there?
yeah,
All right. How about you, Dave? I guess this wasn't your first time. Tammy already answered that, but what's your thoughts on this one?
No, it wasn't my first, and it's definitely not going to be my last. Neither, because for some reason I love strange movies, and this definitely follows under strange because the actors don't act like real actors, and they definitely punch the fourth wall and mention the director, and
Right.
they do weird things throughout. So it's like your movie that knows what it's trying to be without trying to be it,
Right.
or something of that nature. He's trying to be artsy here, but I love that Tom Waits is this bug eating homeless man, kind of similar to his Dracula role. Um,
Right.
where he's kind of like this environmentalist dude. First of all, I love Tom Waits as a musician. So
Right.
the fact that he's somewhat spoken wording whatever he's like seeing out in the wild is wild to begin with. So,
Right.
um, but the fact that everyone is seeing all this gore and no one's really reacting except for Chloe Sevigny's character
Mm-hmm.
is a little funny.
Hmm.
And just the I mean, it's kind of like a slice of life ish of a small town that seems to run by the coffee of the diner.
They love that coffee.
Yeah. So do the dead.
Right.
So
Right.
I enjoyed it for what it is. I think it was a slow burn, and a lot of people didn't get it at the time. So I don't think it got a whole lot of love. So it kind of flew under the radar a little bit. But
Right.
I was looking forward to this one when it came out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm good.
All right. And how about you, Brandon? Is this your first time seeing this movie, and what's your thoughts on it?
Well, yeah, definitely my first time. It may be my last time. Not necessarily in a bad way. I was talking to Kim about this the other day. It's like, you ever get those movies that you watch and you say, it's a fairly decent film. I don't really need to see it anymore. And that's how it was with this. I've only seen 2 other Jim Jarmusch films, so my idea of reference is not really from him. I mean, one of them is an obvious one, which is Broken Flowers. I mean, by the way, was kind of oversold the art. It was a decent film, but I think it's overrated. And then the Johnny Depp film, Dead Man,
right,
which also overly artistic and a little bit boring, tell you the truth. So this one wasn't that boring. It was artistic, but it reminded me of a Wes Anderson film mixed with something like Rubber.
Yeah, I could almost see that.
Because there's a lot of that, like with the fourth wall breaking, the delivery of the lines, that whole thing at the end with the UFO. That's totally a Wes Anderson move. Wes Anderson would have done that in a heartbeat. Especially with them deadpan looking. I was like, oh, well, you look at that. That wasn't in the script.
They were talking about the script, which I thought was funny.
Right.
You read the script? You read the whole thing? Well, I just read my parts.
I'm definitely going to have to mention that because that was hilarious to me. But
so I mean, again, I liked the film overall. I thought it was good, but the ending, as I said, nothing good comes from the end. And I agreed with that because I didn't feel like I liked the ending all that much. The movie itself was okay overall, had some likable characters, some fun scenes, and some witty dialogue. So definitely glad that I got the chance to watch it because it's been on my list for a while. I like Bill Murray, and I tend to like to watch a lot of the films that he's in. And great cast, so I would have seen this eventually. I'm glad that this gave me the opportunity to see it. And now I don't have to watch it again. So I'm all good.
Not for a while.
Yeah, I mean, until the next time we bring it up on the channel. Right.
There probably will be more Jarmusch films. In fact, I thought about, but I don't know. I feel like we don't have much luck bringing on past guests. I thought about putting out a feeler to Dan because I remember him saying his favorite film pretty much was a Jim Jarmusch film. He was telling me Down by Law was one of his favorites, and that's one I need to see. I have a copy. I need to see it.
And this has been an art house month, if you think about it.
Yeah,
Clerks.
Yeah.
I mean, that is probably one of the more artistic Kevin Smith films because he did it that way to sell it to college campuses in case it didn't succeed. So it's kind of interesting because you got that in Shape of the Water, which was an Oscar bait film,
right?
And then this. So all that's left is Dave's choice.
I was going to say, Dave, you got pressure on you now.
Artistic his is when we get to the end.
Well,
Well, I'm
Right.
not sure if it's artistic, but it's well put together. So,
Well, if
Right.
anything, it's something that was probably needed to wipe the taste of Kevin Smith out,
if it
because
makes any
there'll
difference,
be
it
a
was
lot of
picked
it.
up by. If it makes any difference, it was picked up by Magnolia
Oh,
Pictures
okay.
back when it was put on DVD. So,
Okay.
and
'Cause
those
we're
tend to
gonna
be more like independent.
Tend to be,
wait,
yeah.
after the end of this month, we're going to be having 5 straight weeks with Kevin Smith, because even
Ah,
my first Christmas Christmas film has a short film by Kevin Smith in it.
good times.
Must be kismet.
All right. So is that do it for you?
Yep,
Yeah.
I think that's good.
All right. Is Kim going to be throwing in her opinions, or is she just in the background?
Nah, she may come and go, but she's in the shower now, so you know.
Okay. So this was definitely not my first rodeo with this film, but it's been a minute. As I said, I'm not a huge zombie fan typically, and although I appreciate Jim Jarmusch, I rarely hold his films as highly rewatchable. I too have seen Dead Man, and I too have seen Broken Flowers, and I will agree that I find them Broken Flowers a little bit overrated. I also saw Coffee and Cigarettes. It was all right. And I feel like there have been a couple of others. I'd have to remind myself the full filmography. I do
I have
know.
to think about it, but I think Strangers in Paradise was one of his best.
Okay, I actually have not seen that one. He did do one recently with Adam Driver called Patterson that I had planned to see and never got around to. Oh, Ghost Dog: The Way of the Samurai. I forgot he did that. That's supposed to be a really good
Oh,
movie.
damn. It
So
is.
I need to see that one eventually. And Mystery Train, I think I have an unwatched copy. And he did music videos for the Talking Heads and for the Raconteurs, so gives you an idea of this guy's sensibilities. But another one that he did was a vampire film with Tilda Swinton called "Only Lovers Left Alive," with
Oh
Tom.
shit!
That
That's
supposedly
another one of my favorites.
was where he got the idea for doing this film. Swinton was like, "Why don't you make a zombie film or something to that effect?" And but I've seen, like I said, I've seen a few of them, and Murray was not only Bill Murray not only starred in Broken Flowers, he got so much praise that a lot of people said he got snubbed for Oscar. I don't know, but and then, of course, he had a small role in Coffee and Cigarettes, and I think he did one or two others. And so that scene near the end where him and Adam Driver are talking about the script, and Driver's talking about how he read the whole script, and Murray's like, he only gave me the scenes I was in. He's like, fucking Jim. I love that. I was like, it's like, for all I've done for that, man. I love that. I love the meta humor in this. And even if it is a little over the top at times, there's another part where they're listening. The theme song, "The Dead Don't Die" by Sturgill Simpson, is a huge running gag throughout the film. And Simpson shows up as the zombie that's dragging the guitar behind him. That's the actual singer. But there's they're listening to the radio, and Murray's going like, "This is so familiar. It's so why is it so familiar?" And Adam Driver's like, "Because it's the theme song." What do you mean? It's the theme song. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I just love that. But I like the quirky nature of the movie. I like how odd it is. I will concede that some of the points it makes with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer, but I don't necessarily have issues with most of them. It's the whole Tilda Swinton alien subplot is odd, but I wondered this time around, and Dave, I wonder what you think of this. What was that? Was it Phantasm? Am I remembering correctly? The movie about the funeral director who was very otherworldly.
Yeah, that's the tall man from Phantasm.
Yeah. So I was thinking like that was obviously, I thought that was a nod to Phantasm myself. And I was like, the movie does make some creative nods. Of course, you know, the Night of the Living Dead being the most obvious one, but there are a lot of little nods here and there to other movies, and so it's pretty fun with that.
Speaking of offbeat people who do some comedies and that have some similar vibes, when are we going to be covering Christopher Guest? You know, we have not covered a single one of his.
We haven't,
to my knowledge. I mean,
I've wanted to. I don't know that there were very many times that I thought it fit the theme, but maybe I'll. You got a good point. We need to do some of those.
So what?
Because that's another director that kind of reminded me
movies, the mockumentary.
At least the way that they direct Bill Murray, because Bill Murray's been in Christopher Guest films, if I remember correctly.
Has he?
Has he? Well, okay, maybe not.
No, I don't think he's been in any of those.
No, he's been directed that way in Wes Anderson films.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of Wes Anderson there. We need to do more Wes Anderson stuff on this channel too.
And some of these people, yeah. Well, Murray, of course, is a stalwart for him. Tilda Swinton has done some of those movies, but you're talking about like we were talking before about Tom Waits. He has worked with the Coen brothers, and he has worked with Terry Gilliam, and he's worked with Martin McDonagh. And I've got to admit, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, and Seven Psychopaths are all ones we need to cover eventually. So there are a few movies I'd like to see us do with Tom Waits in them. You can usually guess that the movie will be interesting if he's there.
Being America's musician that has portrayed himself as a bum most of the time,
Right.
and he has been homeless, so
Right.
he has felt hunger.
It's also interesting to me watching this one, seeing since this last week. My family, we've gotten back into watching Wednesday after a break, and season 2 stars Steve Buscemi. So here we see Steve Buscemi as a friendly, fun-loving guy who is clearly hiding something. Here, he's not hiding anything. He's putting his shit right out in the open. This is like one of his more unlikable roles, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, we got a great cast. It's weird, it's quirky. I like that theme song, "The Dead Don't Die." I feel like this might have been the first year we did the Versus Awards, and I feel like I did put that forward for original song, but no one else picked up on it. Yeah, I certainly would have. I know that. So it's an interesting one. A little bit, and most of the gore is not that. Like, it's mostly played for laughs, and it isn't as bad for me as a lot of these films would be.
Shoot, the zombies have like black dust inside them instead of
right, which is an interesting thing. Yeah. Yeah. So, if we're done with first impressions, let's launch into it.
Sure.
So basically, this takes place in the small, sleepy town of Centerville, as they said in that little blurb. You've basically got our central characters, our Chief Cliff Robertson of the local police, who's played by Bill Murray, and Officer Ronnie Peterson, his chief deputy, who's played by Adam Driver. Officer Mindy Morrison is played by Chloe Sevigny, and she has a smaller role, but she's, appears periodically through the film. The movie starts with them going out in the woods to confront Hermit Bob, Tom Waits in full wild man regalia.
Wild man naturalist, I would call him.
Full on Grizzly Adams mode, let's put it that way. And he
Grizzly Adams with a touch of the garbage cult.
Yeah. He's basically the Harbinger character in some ways. He's also sort of the narrator character. Like, Brandon, you mentioning Rubber actually works in the sense that Tom Waits is kind of like the audience in Rubber. He kind of watching the whole thing. He keeps showing up in the scenes, but he also, as far as we know, survives the movie. There will be spoilers, by the way.
Because the last moment that we see him, he's like stating something about the farmer and him getting his uppance.
Yeah,
and he's eating the chicken.
Well, that was not the last scene, but it was kind of.
But she did take, which it turns out that yes, indeed, he did take that chicken from the beginning.
Yes. So the police went out there because Farmer Frank Miller, our Steve Buscemi character, complained that he thought Hermit Bob was stealing his chickens, and they go out there and Cliff is pretty much like, oh, I know Bob. I've known Bob for years. It was probably foxes. He straight says that Frank Miller's an asshole and he doesn't believe him. Actually, I believe he used much harsher language than that. But it's but throughout most of the film, we think maybe it was just Miller overreacting, and also we come to find out that one of the weird things that's happening, one of the harbinger events of the zombie apocalypse, is that animals are disappearing and going kind of crazy. So we see Farmer Miller watching his cows running away and watching his dog run away. And like all this, like he sees his animals leaving. So we think maybe that's what happened to the chicken. But then later we do see Bob munching on a drumstick and going, chicken wasn't bad after all, or something like that. It's like,
the interesting thing about this is a lot of the parallels that he uses.
Right.
Again, it's not subtle at all.
Right.
I mean, the parallel to basically people ignoring global warming. Buscemi having the red hat on.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I actually when I was visiting home not long ago in the mountains, I saw plenty of people wearing that red hat, not the other red hat, the one that he's wearing in that movie.
The one he's wearing?
What's that?
You saying the one he's wearing or the one his face?
Yeah, the one he's wearing.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that hat actually is a thing.
Oh.
And there are people who like to wear it. So it's not just a play on the other hat, it's actually a hat that people like to wear.
Yeah, I'm sure Jarmusch found a copy and said, I have to put this in the movie. But yeah, so yeah, I hadn't really gotten into it yet, but let's go ahead and point out the basically, well, I think it's when they're leaving. I think it's when Ronnie and Cliff leave and they're talking in the police car. Like a lot of the movie is talking. It actually is one of the things it has in common with your average Kevin Smith movie is there's a lot of dialogue in this movie. But they're talking and I think it's at that point that they start commenting. You find out, one, their watches aren't working. Two, their phones aren't working. Three, it's like after 8 o'clock in the evening and it's still bright as, it's still midday.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of weird shit going on, and,
Well, and the news is talking about global fracking and
polar
all that
fracking.
jazz.
Yeah, polar fracking, which, as far as I know, is not a thing, but I'm sure it would be if people thought it should be. And yes, it probably would.
Right now, it's too expensive to be feasible, but it could happen.
Yeah, but I feel like it kind of combines a bunch of ideas that are floating out there that are issues that,
that survivalists would probably think about.
Right. I think this movie kind of halfway invented a thing that is very obviously a stand-in for certain other things. But basically the idea...
I also think that Jim Jarmusch was actually implementing with his, once the zombies came about,
right,
global consumerism.
Oh yeah, no,
a little bit.
Yeah, we haven't gotten that far yet, but that's definitely a thing. But basically the idea is that the polar fracking has thrown the Earth off its rotational axis, and it has completely changed the time of day that is light, basically. But it also is apparently done weird things to the process of death. And so we see early on, I think our first corpse is actually Carol Kane, who apparently is the town drunk, and she apparently passed away reeking of Chardonnay. Bill Murray points out that she still smells like cheap Chardonnay, and they have her in the sheriff's office for lack of a better place to put her while they're waiting for an out-of-town coroner to come pick her up.
Well, yeah.
I think
they haven't exactly passed her on to the funeral director because she's already overloaded with 2 corpses of her own.
Right. The funeral director, who we meet eventually, is played by Tilda Swinton. Apparently, this couple was on the local golf course and got struck simultaneously by lightning. So they figured she had her hands full with them. And of course, when we see the scene where she is preparing them for burial, what do y'all think? Would you want to have her services to get you ready for the afterlife?
No, that's quite all right.
Well, she was weird.
Like she's sending the people off to a punk rock concert or something.
I thought she was undead herself when she first came on.
It looked like she was sending them off to a Pink Flamingo funeral.
Yeah, it's one thing that the woman had unbelievably garish makeup, but the guy had makeup to match. But so we had already been introduced to her in her dojo. She apparently is a sword master. There's also a lot of talk about how weird she is and how she must be Scottish. And she does seem to have for lack of a better way of putting it, it's an obviously fake Scottish accent. Which, of course, later we come to realize that she's not from this world at all. But I guess she adopted a foreign accent to help herself blend in more. And it seemed to work. But
except her looks don't make her blend in at all.
Her looks are odd.
It's
No,
like she was an off-kilter Kill Bill
now I will say
character.
this, and no, I mean this in all respect. Tilda Swinton's an odd-looking individual to begin with.
Yes.
So is Tom Waits, come to it, but in a very different way. And Steve Buscemi, a bunch of these people are. But Swinton has this look about her that's she's really good at playing otherworldly characters. She's really good at playing imposing and intimidating characters. And a lot of that's just in the way she looks. So they really didn't have to do a whole lot to make her believable as otherworldly.
If I remember correctly, she also played in the remake of Suspiria.
I do believe so, yes. But yeah, that was we covered that, right? The
Yeah, we
remake
covered
as well
both,
as the
I think.
original.
I think we covered them back to back.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
So at any rate, we've got we're introduced to Mindy, I think, in the scene where we're introduced to what was Carol Kane's character? Mallory. That's what it was. Mallory O'Brien. We're introduced to a bunch of characters here and there. We meet Farmer Frank in the diner. Fern is the lady behind the counter. I think Olivia was her employee. And then we also meet Hank, who's played by Danny Glover, and he runs the hardware store. And it's obvious he and Frank are not friends. They're like frenemies, it seems like. It's obvious that Hank is the kind of person Frank would not ever want to be caught dead with, and yet they obviously hang out together at the diner. It's a weird dynamic.
Yeah, they can only stand each other in the diner, but when they're out and about, it's kill or be killed.
It's kind of funny how that whole coffee thing went, and he's like, I mean, I don't like it strong.
Oh yeah, he says something that he thinks will offend Hank, and then he tries to backpedal, and Hank's just sitting there, just kind of like, you could see him kind of laughing inside as Frank digs us all deeper. It's like,
yeah, he's the coffee here is too black.
Right.
And then he's like, oh, he looks at him and he goes, I meant to say it's just too strong.
Which is so believable with the hat he's wearing.
Right.
Anyway, like I said, Frank is painted as a full-on asshole. Everyone in the movie treats him as an asshole. It's honestly, it's like Hank and Fern are the only people that don't treat him as a complete asshole. And with Fern, it's probably because he gives her money. Yeah, that's basically. But so we also are introduced to Bobby, who's played by Caleb Landry Jones. He runs the gas station / memorabilia shop. And we're briefly introduced to the UPS guy who's played by RZA. And we're introduced to, well, a little later on, this trio of young people show up. Selena Gomez, Austin Butler, and I don't remember the third guy.
Yeah, Austin Butler was just a complete dick.
You know,
he was a complete dick, but you could kind of, like, I was looking at it, I was like, yeah, he does look. I could see like the mannerisms he used for Elvis later. I could see that, and I was like, isn't that something? But he was ridiculous.
You forgot to mention the nice '68 Le Mans that was in there too.
Oh, they had a good car. I believe that was Selena's car, and they bragged about it a bit. They were bragging on that one.
Selena Gomez is going to look like a teenager until like she hits a particular age. Then she's going to look like an 80-year-old.
Oh, she already this movie is only 6 years old, and she already looks a lot different than she did. But
she looked like a little kid than that. She looked like an early teen. But,
right, which she wasn't.
She was definitely not. No,
it's definitely not. And she is definitely
cute.
She is a good-looking woman. I'm going to say that, and I absolutely love her. I love Only Murders. That is such a great show. I love that one. I think this was one of the first things I saw her in, though, or at least one of the first things where I noticed. You know what I mean? Like, you got a newscaster who's played by Rosie Perez, but they call her Posey Juarez. I'm like, oh, isn't that something? And Larry Fessenden is he plays Danny Perkins, the guy who runs the local inn where the three youngins end up staying the night when they find that they kind of have to stick around for a night. They meet Bobby at the memorabilia store, and Austin's character gives him he's a total dick to her, but Selena's character Zoe is really nice, and you see this scene where he sees her in gold, and like you can tell he's in love. Now, unfortunately, nothing comes of it because in this movie there are no survivors. But there's also a trio of youngsters at a correctional facility, a juvenile detention center. Stella, and I don't remember all their names. I know Stella was one of them. But at any rate...
Geronimo is the young kid that kept getting in trouble.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he keeps hanging out in the girls' wing when he's not supposed to. And these two girls, they're happy to have him hang out, I guess. But that's pretty much your cast. And much of the movie is just kind of meeting people, getting to know them. They talk about different things, or commenting on the weird news, or commenting on that Sturgill Simpson song that they keep showing up. You see Bobby has copies of the single at his store, and when Zoe sees it, she's like, "Oh, I love this song," and buys the CD. And
I like how he actually, when they find them later dead, the deputy actually just grabs a copy of the CD, like, "Ooh, I like that."
and Cliff's like, "No," it's like, "Turn that off." He's like,
I am done with that song.
Exactly. And then we have we see slowly but surely, we see signs of the dead rising. We see Mallory twitching in the jail cell. We see Iggy Pop actually shows up as a zombie who, along with his girlfriend, they wake up and go straight for the diner, and they kill Fern and her employee. And that's the next day is when everyone's going in, and see, like, Hank calls it in. You get Cliff and Ronnie go in, and you see Ronnie's
a little funny. Ronnie's a little funny because he shows up in that little tiny ass smart car.
Yes, and it's hilarious because Adam Driver is not tiny. He is very tall.
And that thing was zipping along the road. So when he pulled up, I was laughing a little bit.
What's actually kind of interesting, because of course, one of the differences that you see in these zombies and other movies is that they do have a particular obsession with something that they had dealt with in life. Yes. And in the case of the two zombies with the diner, they were both like wanting coffee. As soon as they killed the people there, they just automatically went to the coffee pot.
Exactly. Yes, I love that. I love that. And you see a lot of them. Again, you see when Simpson shows up later, he's dragging the guitar, and you hear him say, "Guitar, guitar." You got all these kids that run in on the memorabilia store, and they're looking for toys or gum, or they're all whatever they were obsessed with in life. And that was a neat little touch. And the closest thing I think I've seen to that, which I thought was, I thought Shaun of the Dead was overrated. I need to see it again, but I thought it was overrated. But I thought one of the funniest touches in that was where Nick Frost, who was basically a couch potato in life, as a zombie, was basically the same.
Well, then they're in front of the pharmacy. They're naming off like
Yeah.
Oxy and this.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
No,
then later on, they all got cell phones, and they're all saying Wi-Fi,
yeah.
Bluetooth.
Yeah. All the people with their
And then there were those zombies that were by the store, so they were saying Xanax.
Yeah.
Or
I just said that.
Yeah. Xanax. Yeah. But yeah, I did. I fully can relate that if I were to come back undead, which God forbid that should ever happen, there is decent odds that coffee would be what I would be after. Decent odds.
I'd be walking around going Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, it wouldn't be cars, but
Oh,
I don't know.
probably just be like Nick Frost sitting in front of the TV the whole time.
Yeah, you'd be like Xbox. But anyway, I was trying to find the exact quote because you're right, it does repeat repeatedly. But when they like I said, Hank calls them out. He got to the diner and saw what was going on and gets really freaked out. And he calls up Cliff, and then Ronnie comes up, and then Mindy comes up, and all of them are basically like, "What? Do you think it was a wild animal? A bunch of wild animals?" It's like, I think it is 3 different people that say that, and it's like, it definitely looks bad. That's for sure. It's not something you want to walk in on when you go for your morning coffee. That's for sure. But then as I think they send Mindy. Oh, they have her do crowd control because she doesn't have the stomach for it. And I think that might have been the part where we had this little exchange where the chief is like, "What do you think did this?" And Ronnie's like, "I'm thinking zombies." What? The undead ghouls. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely says that much sooner than any reasonable person would come to that conclusion. Of course, part of it is.
Well, again, he did read the script.
He did. And I did finally find that interchange. They do have it listed on IMDb, and that was where, he kept saying, "This is not going to end well. This is not going to end well." And it was really starting to tick off Cliff. And then eventually Cliff is like, he just kind of shrugs and he says, "How did you know everything in advance? Do you really want to know?" "Yes, I want to know. I really want to know." "Okay, I know because I've read the script." "You read the script? The whole script? All of it?" "Yeah, Jim gave me the whole script." "He only gave me our scenes. I never saw a complete script. After all I've done for that guy, and it's a lot that you don't even know about. What a dick."
Was that in the script?
Yeah. So anyway, I think that happens that morning, and then like later in the day, I think it goes through the better part of a day before they really start coming out. But we have we see that scene of Mallory in the jail is kind of starting to twitch just a little bit. And then we see the scene in the funeral parlor where Tilda Swinton's character, I'm forgetting her name.
She's in her little Buddha temple.
No. Zelda Winston was her. No, I mean this was we already saw that, but this, and I think she might have actually seen Mallory twitch. I think, but this was the part where she was painting up those poor dead souls, and their eyes keep popping open, and then
this is not going to do.
They say it up, and then she's like, "Oh, yeah." She said something to that effect. It was something like,
Oh, she said just when I thought, just when I had made them pretty bunny.
Well, no, she says she tells us some. She says something to them about they're being very inappropriate. I think is what she said. Like, they're being very inappropriate, and then she just does this quick, fluid motion with her sword, and their heads fall off, and you see that little bit of smoke, and then she's like, "And just when I had them looking so bonny," it's like, is that what you call it? Um, but yeah, we have. I think this is about the part though that if it really hits the shan. We start seeing more and more individuals getting attacked. We see, more and more evidence of people getting attacked, and it just kind of once it kind of starts snowballing a little bit. But yeah. And I do believe it is the second night where basically the first night it was like the two rose from their graves, but the second night, like kind of everyone does. And you have the whole kill the head thing too is a frequently repeated phrase. What is it? To make them dead, kill the head, or something like that.
Yeah, that was another running phrase.
Yeah. So we see that a few times. And you get this thing where Bobby and Hank are holed up in the hardware store, and eventually the police for a while they're holed up in the police station, but then Zelda shows up and offers to take over, and it tells them they ought to go patrol and see how things are going. So they do, and she hops on the computer and is writing all this weird stuff. It turns out she's beaming the mothership, but we didn't figure that out right away. But
no,
it's I gotta say though, and I wonder y'all thoughts. Hank and Bobby did a very poor job of taking advantage of the resources at hand. They were in the hardware store. I think they probably could have made a much longer stand than they did. I could be wrong, but
they just forgot about the back door. That's all.
They forgot about the back door, yes, but you would have thought with all those blades and potential weapons they would have that they would have had like a stockpile ready.
Well, I really do think at that point they had just given up.
Really. Yeah, they might have.
I mean, for the most part, a lot of that's inevitability. A lot of this movie reminds me. One of the things I used to do a lot on Halloween, which we don't do anymore because it's hard to get a good gaming group together, is we used to play a horror game called All Flesh Must Be Eaten, which is a zombie role-playing game.
Right.
The first time I played this game, which was, I think, late high school, early college, we played one of the scenarios, which was, this is a scenario that we realized at the end, that the end of the scenario was not to survive. It was how long it took before you actually succumb to the inevitability that it is the end.
Right.
And that's what this kind of feels like, is that a lot of the people, it's just about, except for the Undertaker, which is an odd case. Right. But basically it was that whole idea of facing an inevitability of the end.
Right.
And for each person facing that end in their own way.
And I think Bobby,
as I try to keep a cat from going over on the keyboard, because
Bobby does say he has seen nearly every zombie film, so there is a good chance that he had that sense of inevitability and just kind of given in.
I think they could use their resources a little bit better than they did.
Yeah.
So I agree with you there. I mean, with everything they had, they could have barricaded those doors, I think, a whole lot better than they did, you know?
Yep.
Right. But
I
the
totally agree. But then again, we're going with the mentality of let's go hide behind the wall with the chainsaws.
it's a hardware store. There could have been a wall of chainsaws, but I don't think they did that. That was one thing he was in. Okay, I was trying to remember what I'd seen Caleb Landry Jones in. He played Banshee in X-Men First Class. He co-starred in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. That was one of the big ones. Okay. I was trying to think what I'd seen him in before. But, and there's a couple of Florida Project. Yeah, Get Out. Okay, he was in a few things. Okay. Byzantium. Okay, good times. So at any rate, and apparently his first ever role was in No Country for Old Men as Boy on Bike.
Isn't No Country for Old Men finally coming to Criterion if it's not already on it?
Yes.
Which is another one of those that, of course, you talked about several options for your Coen Brothers February submission.
Well, I don't think we've done No Country. That's definitely.
Nope, we haven't done that one or the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, which you talked about earlier. So
I'm still waiting for a goddamn physical release on that one.
Well, Netflix is arranging it, so it'll never happen.
Yeah, who knows? But anyway, this what was I saying? I don't know. But anyway, obviously we have been kind of zooming back and forth and not trying to follow a linear plot thing. Are there any particular scenes that we have zoomed right by, or that y'all want to talk on quickly, or that you think that we should dive a little further into? Any favorite moments that we kind of scooched by?
I mean, things I thought were kind of throwaways were the group of youngsters with Selena Gomez visiting, and the whole like kids that kind of escaped from the detention facility.
Right.
I'm sure there was a point to them, but I didn't get it. I mean, they were there. They had a few scenes that gave a little bit of exposition, but not really a lot, and then they died.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, the teens that were visiting died really quickly. I mean, the most they did is set up, bought a CD, got to the hotel, and they were dead the next scene.
No. We should say the 3 kids from the detention center, as far as we know, seem to get away. Like, they're not actually shown to be killed.
Well, it's my opinion that the way that this does go about is that there are no survivors at the end. This is one
probably.
Of those that wipes.
Well, except for Tilda Swinton, because she leaves the planet.
Well, except for her, yes.
But yeah. And now who's to say that those kids weren't picked up by that ship as well? There's, or Tom Waits. There's no one saying Hermit Bob was not abducted by aliens before the zombies got him. So the fact that there is an alien ship shows that it is possible. As Kafka would say in Zetsubo Sensei, the possibility exists. But anyway, but yes, for all intents and purposes, there were no survivors. This is definitely
this is the end kind of movie.
Exactly. Yes. The which Adam Driver or Ronnie was absolutely correct that this is not going to end well. Which I do have to wonder if that was a nod to the whole Star Wars. I have a bad feeling about this. Like, I wonder if that was an intentional nod or,
Not sure, but there was an intentional nod to Star Wars indefinitely when he handed over the keys to Tilda Swinton's character.
Yes. And it's kind of I need to double check my timeline here. I can't remember. Okay, yeah, he was already playing Kylo when this movie came out. Okay. I couldn't remember the timeline. So this movie actually came out the same year as The Rise of Skywalker. So yeah, he was definitely already well part of Star Wars. So that was almost certainly a nod to that. Which he is playing a very good guy here. Very different from Kylo Ren in some ways.
Well, he's kind of playing the character kind of Green Thumb because he wants to shoot Bob in the very beginning,
Yeah.
but he doesn't. And he's always asking Cliff, "Shouldn't we do this?"
Right.
And Cliff is kind of more laid back than him, and he's like, "Yeah, no,
Well,
let's just go back to the station."
It's pretty clear. It's pretty clear that Chief Cliff Robertson is very. He's been at his job for a while. It's pretty clear. Like he's known Frank and Bob and Hank for many years, and it's obvious he grew up with them. He grew up in this town. He knows the town. He's probably been sheriff for who knows how long.
He even mentions that he was going to retire like 2 years before.
Yeah.
And Adam Driver's character, he's like, "Well, why didn't you, Cliff?"
Yeah.
That's another that's one of those another cliche.
Yeah.
This was supposed to be my last day.
Right. Well,
he could have done a Clerks reference from this month.
I'm not even supposed to be here. Right. Well, Dante could theoretically escape. Theoretically. But Cliff, there was no escape. But yeah. Another thing, just a random aside, Zelda, Tilda Swinton's character, one of the oddities of her character is that she always refers to people by their full name and title, if applicable. Like she's Officer Ronnie Peterson, Officer Mindy Morrison, Chief Cliff Robertson. She always does the full name, and it's like really weird. And kind of amusing.
Yeah, normally when people actually say your full name, it's like your mother trying to. Like I remember when my mom would say my name, David Edward Streggy.
Yeah.
Get your butt over here now.
You're in trouble. Splain.
Right.
I guess we get to the big kind of everything's kind of getting to a crescendo. Hank and Bobby make their stand in the hardware store, but they forgot to lock the back door and they don't make it. Frank does pretty good in his farm. I mean, being the good old boy that he is, he has plenty of guns, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. And he ends up getting taken down.
And that UPS driver that came by with packages for Bobby before.
We see him in the memorabilia store as a zombie. Yep.
Correct.
And we don't actually see the attack, but we see our innkeeper walking away after his attack. We saw him get attacked, and we see him walking and snacking on a limb, which when the police show up and go into the room, we learn that he had taken one of the young people's limbs to snack on. And Ronnie goes and beheads all of them before they're able to turn into zombies. So they're actually spared that. Although we have this weird eyelid flutter from Selena Gomez that kind of made it look like maybe she was in the process of turning and it didn't quite happen. But we and they, I think he also was the one that took out Mallory when she revived in the sheriff's office.
I like how when they did the first part, it wasn't just head sliced clean off. It took them a few good whacks to get it, which was looked inefficient as heck, which is how it would be in real life.
Right. Although
they drop that pretense later in the
and then what was with that stuff that comes out of them, that black stuff?
It was something.
I don't think that's entirely explained.
It's magic.
Right. One thing that they did there was one point, I think it might have been the first time that Ronnie did that, maybe. Where I know the quote is on here, but I don't remember exactly where it is. But basically, Ronnie's does the beheading, and the chief's like, "Those are some pretty good cuts. You played some minor league ball, didn't you?" Well, yeah, a little Class A, but it was a long time ago. So basically, they're saying that he played baseball, so I guess that means that he's got a better hand with a sword than some people, or machete rather is more what he was carrying. He'd be a little better with a machete than your average person, I guess. Of course, with Zelda, she's got a samurai sword, and she clearly has trained with it, so that's a little different. But yeah, there are a couple of hacking. I think it's Ronnie that goes after Iggy Pop, right? And he has to hack at him like, and it's not easy.
Well, I mean, that's played for comedic relief because then, of course, later in the movie, he's just hacking heads off left and right towards that fight.
Well, he's also got to practice at that point. But
I did like how he did that. It's like, okay, hold on, another one.
Right. And so eventually you get the cops end up in the cemetery, and Mindy has been freaking out the whole time. And I do have to admit, one of my minor gripes with the movie is that Chloe Sevigny is too good of an actress to spend almost the whole time freaking out and whining. And really, her character spends most of the movie freaking out and whining. And she does it well, but I'm disappointed they didn't give her more to work with. But she basically freaks out and runs out. I think she sees her grandmother, I think is one of the zombies. She sees her grandmother, and at that point, she basically just says, "Fuck it," and
fuck it, I'm out of here.
Gets out of the car. It's like, I'm done with this. And then, of course, later, Ronnie ends up having to put her zombie down. And Chief and Ronnie, they do a really impressive last stand that is interrupted when Zelda shows up, briefly helps them out, and then gets beamed up by the mothership. And that was the part where I think where the Chief is like, "Was that in the script?" And Ronnie's like, "No." It's like, I didn't see that. But yeah, and everyone, the zombies too, they just all pause. They're all like, "The hell?" But then as soon as the spaceship's gone, they're back at it. And here again, I think they could have prepared better for their final stand, but he knew.
I do like the fact that they didn't imitate Return of the Living Dead,
right?
Where the only thing that they could even remotely say is brains.
Yeah.
I'm glad that each individual zombie actually had something interesting to say, even if it was a word repeated. You know.
Yeah. And again, I know, it's not it it wasn't the most subtle messaging that they could have had, but I appreciated the anti-consumerist bent of the movie, and I thought that was a really interesting way of doing it. And that's not the first time zombie films have been used in that way. Like, is it Dawn of the Dead's the one that took place in the mall, right? So, okay, we got all our zombie experts here. Am I remembering that correctly?
What?
The Dawn of the Dead is the one that takes place in the mall.
Let's see.
Yes.
The
Dawn of the
Yeah, so that was
Dawn of the Dead is the mall. Yes.
Yeah, the Day of the Dead is the one that's in the future where the zombies have taken over everything.
Okay. Yeah. So that was definitely one that had a little bit of that vibe to it too. But at any rate, and then, as they're making their last stand, as they go down finally for the count, we see Tom Waits narrating the end of the film. Well, that's the end of the film, basically. And like I said, it technically, Tom Waits and the three kids from the detention center and Zelda technically survived the film, but for all intents and purposes, this could be one that says there were no survivors.
Well, there wasn't the end, or is it kind of thing at the end. It was just they were dead.
Right. No final credit stinger or anything like that. Which they could have, but they didn't. So I guess that about wraps her up for the plot. Again, any scenes that we skipped that y'all want to go back on, or should we go on into production?
Oh,
I think we're good.
All right. So, what are y'all's thoughts on the production? There obviously were a lot of makeup effects in the film.
I think an Oscar could have gone to the makeup and effects. That's for sure. As far as that goes, although the sparkly black smoke, that was questionable.
Right.
It made me think almost for a moment. Okay, you took what was bad about Twilight and stuffed it inside the zombies.
Is that so? I think there was a plenty bad about Twilight that they didn't use in this film, but that was.
Although they had one hell of a baseball game, that's for sure.
Right.
I think production was pretty decent. I mean, the zombies definitely looked like zombies. I think, like we were talking about before, with them all saying like coffee because they wanted the coffee, or the kids were saying candy. And remembering something that was when they were alive. I think that was a nice little. I guess you want to say a different touch or different play on a zombie.
Though Bobby was also right about one thing. They weren't your typical zombies because they weren't exactly going for the brain.
Right.
Which was something that in a typical zombie, movie would do. They would go for your brain.
They were more like just a ghouls, basically. They were definitely cannibalistic, but they were not.
They were flesh eaters.
Yeah.
But I think it was pretty good. Like David said, the makeup effects I thought were very good. And I thought that the weird scene actually made it a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with the, like the repeating of certain phrases and stuff and everything, and then talking about
Wi-Fi,
script and
Bluetooth,
stuff. I think
Xanax.
Yeah.
so. I thought everything. I thought the production was pretty good. It made it like a fun horror movie instead of just straight horror.
Right. It is more of a horror comedy than a full on, which tends to be more my speed anyway. I like a little chuckle while I'm at it. And I agree, this film deserved an Oscar if only for Tom Waits' hair. But anyway, Brandon, you have any thoughts on that?
Production was pretty decent. I mean, you had multiple set pieces, which is good. I always feel like we leave that out when we think about it. We concentrate so hard on special effects and makeup. We don't look at the other things like costume design or really places, because the number of places in a film really does reflect it as well, because that's where the action takes place. And we did have a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
They made the actual visual effects just the right amount of campy,
right,
cheap to reflect what they were going for. I liked how they did that, because it wasn't made cheap because they couldn't make it more realistic. They made it cheap for the effect. Right. And you could tell that by the way they did it. And that was, like I say, artistically very well done, very well executed.
Mm-hmm. Very good. I would agree. And what are y'all's thoughts on the music? We have a score written by Carter Logan and Squirrel.
I like
and of course that song by Sturgill Simpson, "The Dead Don't Die."
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But I'm sorry, was someone starting to talk?
I did like "The Dead Don't Die,"
Right.
the song.
Yep,
I think it definitely went with it.
Yep.
I agree. I would take that CD from the Dead Band.
The song definitely grows on you throughout the movie.
Right. Yeah. And I like the score too. I thought it fit the theme of the movie really well. Like it had sort of that oddball sort of kind of a mixture of Carter Burwell, the kind of stuff he does for the Coen brothers and so forth. And then like that beach music vibe of most of Quentin Tarantino's films. Like it felt like it was kind of in that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if y'all got that vibe too, but I thought it fit the tone of the movie perfectly. So overall, I did dig the music in this one. And like I said, that song should have been up for an Oscar. I will maintain that. Definitely should have been. But it's like, what is it? The afterlife is over, the afterlife goes on, I think is how the chorus goes.
Was that a real song or a song just for the movie?
Well, it is a real song.
It was a real song.
I mean, it was a song made for the movie, definitely.
Oh.
But yeah, it was definitely made for the movie. Sturgill Simpson wrote and directed wrote and performed it. And yeah, it's good times.
Yeah.
So, and that's all the more reason why it should have been not, because it fit the rules perfectly. It's played repeatedly during the song, during the movie. It's basically a character in the movie.
Yeah.
It's fully original. It's like, whatever. I can't even remember what was nominated that year, but anyway. And overall, I would just say, generally speaking, I think someone commented before at some point on the acting. It is mostly, I think, I feel like everyone knew the assignment. Everyone understood the assignment. You know, most of these people were not doing their, Adam Driver wasn't bringing the level of pathos he brought to Marriage Story. You don't see Bill Murray trying to do what he did with Broken Flowers or Lost in Translation. Even Selena Gomez is fully acting as she does in Only Murders. But they're all perfectly suited to what they were trying to do, I think. And I like I said, I think they all got the assignment. So that's what you hope for with this.
Okay, so these are it basically had 2 wins and 7 nominations.
Okay.
In 2019, it was a nominee for the best horror film at the Saturn Award.
Mm-hmm.
And best makeup. At the Cannes Films Festival, it was a nominee.
Yeah, he was up for the Palme d'Or. Wow, that's amazing. That's awesome.
In 2020, that was a nominee for the Arterios Award, Outstanding Achievement in Casting Studio Independent Feature Comedy.
Yeah.
They call this an independent feature? I thought Jim Jarmusch was more mainstream.
No, he's definitely independent. Like, he's well known, and he gets some big names for his movies, but his movies are not studio movies.
He's in the, when we call independent, he's not micro budget or anything. He's in the high budget art house independent.
Yeah, he's independent. Like people like Wes Anderson and the Coens, they do studio stuff, but they also do a lot of stuff that's not the studios when maybe not the Coens now, but back in the day they were independent.
They were a winner for the Chainsaw Award.
Yeah.
They were a winner in 2020 for the Chainsaw Award at the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards.
For makeup. Yeah. Cool.
And then for makeup, they were a nominee for the Fright Meter Award. And Hollywood Music and Media Awards for Best Original Score.
Yeah.
A nominee.
And they nominated Squirrel.
And a Columbus Film Critics Association winner. Actor of the Year Award for Adam Driver.
Yeah. But it was for his full body of work for the year, which included The Rise of Skywalker, The Report, and Marriage Story. He got that for Marriage Story and The Report, and the others were just hangers on. But I've never actually seen The Report, but I've heard great things. But anyway, so I guess we can go ahead and get into favorites if we want to. I guess we'll start with you, Brandon. If you had a favorite character and or scene, and favorite scene / moment, line of dialogue, what have you. And let's say, what would be a really good meta film that we haven't talked about yet that you want to talk about?
Well, I'll start with the meta film because we could go to the next follow-up to Rubber, which was wrong, which was which I would love to watch that again. I remember liking it. It was odd, but it was definitely meta.
Yeah,
it was definitely odd. So, I'd say my favorite character is probably Bill Murray's character. It's just, I like Bill Murray in most things he does, though, The Undertaker was close. As far as favorite scenes, I like the scene where they both pause and he's like, that wasn't in the script. And the UFO comes in. That to me was a fun scene. It took me out of the kind of despair of the moment, which I think is what that was supposed to do. And it was great to watch. It was fun to watch.
And I'll admit that scene reminded me of the Coen brothers, specifically The Man Who Wasn't There, because that one had an alien subplot that came out of nowhere and it lasted for basically one scene and then it was gone. It's like, so that kind of reminded me of that. I was like, the fuck did aliens come from? But anyway,
Well, it's just like the series of Fargo when it went there too. So
I still need to see that show. I love the movie. I still need to see the show. How about you, Dave? What were your favorite character and scenes, and what's a meta film?
Bill Murray's my favorite character in here.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Driver, not so much entirely, but I do get a kick out of this scene that Brandon spoke of. And I do like the fact. I love the. This is the other one where Ziggy Pop and his somewhat girlfriend come into the cafe, and they go for the coffee.
Right.
And then they're like, coffee.
Yeah.
For some reason that gives me a smirk, but the fact that they know how to break the fourth wall here, and and I guess the line where Adam Driver is asked by the character that Bill Murray plays, Cliff Robertson, he's like, "So what do you think it is?" And he's like, "You really want to know?" I think it's zombies, fucking straight up ghouls.
Right.
It's like, really? You're trying to get me to believe that it's zombies?
Right.
And then, of course, Mindy comes up and they're like, "I don't think you really want to go see that." And she goes in and sees it, and she's like, I think you're right. I didn't really want to see that."
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, there are just moments here and there where the comedic humor is actually spot on, and I do, I guess, get a kick out of the fact that Carol, her zombie just says Chardonnay,
Right.
before her head gets shot off. But in any case, what do you mean when you say meta?
Well, like a movie that clearly knows it's a movie. You know what I mean? Like, there are movies where there's fourth wall breaking and that kind of thing. And, like this was obviously a good example, being the ones where they're talking about the script or, things like that.
Okay. I think I'm gonna go with Trailer Park of Terror.
Oh dear God.
I gave Jake a copy of it, and instead of watching it, he got rid of it.
Well, it was part of the mold outbreak. Unfortunately, I had to chuck a handful of things, and that was one of them.
But I still say that movie itself had the best portrayal of the devil ever.
I might give it a go if we discuss it in the group. I do kind of want to see that. But
see, it's a challenge, Dave.
Yeah.
Well, it's a movie that's very much aware of itself to me.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Actually, Dead and Breakfast was like that too in a lot of ways.
That yes, I agree. That one was one of the first.
Okay.
But that's one. Gosh, that's a movie I haven't thought about in a long time.
Okay. And how about you, Tammy? Favorite character, favorite scenes, and what's a very self-referential movie you would like us to do one of these days.
My favorite character was Bill Murray's character. I like him. Favorite scene? Jeez, there was more than once. I mean, I like the script one. You know, when the flying saucer shows up, you know.
Right.
And, you know, was that in the script? No. Just, you know, some of the interaction between him and the deputy, you know, were just quite funny, you know. And I liked Zelda when she's coming up to the police station and she's getting all the zombies with her sword, and they're all going, "Wow, she handles that thing very well." And they're like, "Yeah, she does," you know, and she's taking them all, you know.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. I guess I don't know what you mean for the movie. Because the movies you guys are bringing up in this, I don't know those movies.
Okay. A movie that basically acknowledges that it is a movie. And it's still strange all the way through. Like when you're breaking a character while you acknowledge like things like the script or the director or this can't happen, or you know, there are movies that jump into scenes where they mention like things that you would do on the editing floor, you know.
I don't think I know any of them.
Behind the scenes.
I mean, so like some different examples might be like, and I'll be cheating here a little bit by putting out some of my ideas, but like you get movies with like you get a movie like Deadpool where you have the central character is constantly breaking the fourth wall and referencing the fact that he's in a movie. All three of those movies, very much so. You get, you could say mockumentaries, like we were talking before we started about the Christopher Guest ones.
Do you like Deadpool?
What's that?
Tammy? Do you like Deadpool?
Do
you like Deadpool? Do you like it?
It's all right.
Okay, then.
Okay.
That is a movie that breaks the fourth wall all the time.
Okay.
What do you mean by the fourth wall?
Where he directly acknowledges the audience.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off is another one.
Yeah, it does, yes. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is a good one, yeah.
Annie Hall is another one.
Yeah.
Fight Club.
Yeah.
Spaceballs.
Some interesting references there.
Yeah.
The new one.
Blazing Saddles, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Wayne's World.
That new one that I got with what's his name? Not Deadpool, but David.
What?
Not
Deadpool versus Wolverine.
Yeah, they did it in there.
Yeah, they did it in all three of them.
Yeah. Oh, Deadpool and Wolverine was big time. They were making all sorts of references.
I like that one.
Yep.
That one
It's that idea that basically they know that they're in a movie and they will speak to the audience all the time. I remember when I was young, one of the early examples, Clarissa Explains It All, when it was on Nickelodeon. Right. She used to always talk to the audience.
Right.
Yep.
Well, I like Deadpool and Wolverine. That was a good one. I like that one.
Okay. And I will say, Dave mentioned, I know we did Spaceballs, but I think you mentioned a bunch of stuff we have not done, and most of those are ones that would be fun to do.
Mm-hmm.
Have we even done Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
I don't believe we have.
No, we have not.
No. That'd be interesting. Have we done any John Hughes movies?
Yes,
we done
we
Home
have.
Alone.
Which one?
Yes, we did Home Alone.
Oh, that's right. Right. Well, that's not directed by him, but yeah, that is written.
He wrote
by
it
him,
though, so yeah. And we've done National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
This is true. Although again, different director, but yeah.
But he wrote it, so
it's true.
Have we done any of the other vacation movies? Didn't he direct the first one?
I don't think we did.
No, we did not.
That could have been something for
Oh,
France.
we've done the second one, the Christmas Vacation too.
Oh yeah, we did that one, the greatest of all of the vacation movies. But but that's the funny thing about this, and this is why people look at me and they'll say, "You're a movie collector. You love to watch movies all the time." And like, yeah, I watch them almost every day. And they're like, "But you haven't seen this one, or you haven't seen that one." It's like, you know how many movies there are in the and I could name many movies I have watched that you have never watched
or never heard of,
or never even heard of. Yes, unfortunately, with this channel, I mean, we only have so many slots a month, so
right.
There's going to, and we've repeated several times, so we're going to miss some of the greats here and there, but we will get to it. I mean, we just got to The Godfather this year,
right?
And that's something that you would have expected that we'd have covered on day one as one of the greatest trilogies of all time, but now we've covered it.
Well, day one, I think you guys were mostly doing horror, and so yeah. But
I don't know. We branched out of horror as soon as day one, I think it was mostly horror, but
that's what I'm saying. Like
by the time I joined, they went with The Room, so
day one for me, they were already doing something a little different. But so Tammy, were you all you were all good or okay?
Yeah, I'm all set.
Okay. So for me, I'll admit the first time I saw this, I was a little bit nonplussed by Bill Murray, mostly because he plays the role so straight. I always thought that Adam Driver was a little bit more the Bill Murray role, but this time I got a little more out of both of them. I'm going to admit I love Zoe because she's cute as hell, but I definitely I'm going to go with. I'm almost tempted to say Hermit Bob was actually my favorite character out of the bunch. Like it's almost tempting to say he would be at the very top. But I do like Cliff and Ronnie. I think they're both good characters, and they're a good team. They work really well together as a team. As far as scenes, and to that point, I think probably two of my favorite moments are two of the major meta moments, which are the part where where Cliff is talking about how familiar that song is, and Ronnie's like, "Well, it's the theme song." It's like, that's why it's familiar. It's the theme song. And then the part where they were talking about how Ronnie had read the whole script and Cliff had only read the scenes he was in, and he's like, "Damn it! After all I've done for that man, I just." I love when people can make fun of themselves, and the fact that Jim Jarmusch had his stars chew him out in the movie. I love that. I don't know why. I just love it when people can make fun of themselves. It's good times, and yes, I will admit that scene where the first zombies are going for coffee. I do appreciate that. As far as meta stuff, Dave did name off most of the ones I was thinking of, and so he saved me the trouble of it. But one that I am thinking of, a spoof movie that I think did have some meta elements to it, that I think would be fun to do one of these days, was Black Dynamite. I thought that was a really fun.
Such a fun one, yeah.
That was a fun one, and it definitely had some meta moments. And Barbie had some meta moments too, so I think that could be a really good one to hit one of these days. But I will admit the Deadpool movies were the first ones I had in my mind.
I'll be sick on that day when you do Barbie. Sorry.
Come on, Dave. You've made us suffer through stuff.
I know. If we can watch Bunny the Killer Thing.
Yes.
Hey, that's like my third favorite. Actually, no, my fourth favorite movie. So
I know, and I'm very sorry for you. But anyway.
I'm sorry for you too, but you're not playing it around me again.
Then again, I made Joe go through an entire month of Skeleton Key, so hey.
Yeah. At any rate, but Brandon, you just made me think.
Skeleton Key was better.
I am modestly shocked, though, now that Brandon has put it in my brain. I'm modestly shocked you did not pick the Vacation franchise for our franchise year. But, I'm sure there will be opportunities.
If Schlockaholics was still a channel, I might have. But because Schlockaholics has been deceased, I wanted to cover that Skeleton Key series for ages.
Yeah.
And the fact that we had been mostly Kevin Smithless doesn't help either. But I've definitely fixed that this year. And
you have.
Next month it will be fixed even further. So yes.
Yes. And yet we still will not have done Chasing Amy. That one will have to come up sooner or later.
That'll be the last Kevin Smith movie we cover, just because.
The very last one. Okay, that'll be something. Even after Kilroy was here?
Hey, I am getting a bootleg of that as we speak, and I'm proud to actually say that aloud because fucking FTs. And
yes.
I will actually be able thanks to a free video archive that was out there. So
once I've gotten that and I've seen that one and that 420 movie that he has,
I need to see that one.
All of his feature films.
I've heard 420 movie was quite good, actually. I have not heard that about Kilroy Was Here or Cop Out. Those are the other two I have not. And I haven't seen Yoga Hosers. So the three that have the worst reputation are the
Cop
three.
Out and Yoga Hosers are bad, but Yoga Hosers at least has redeemable value of it being weird as hell. I mean, it's about sausage men who jump up your ass, and that's just sausage Nazis. Yeah, sausage Nazi men who jump up your ass. I mean, that alone is worth a curiosity view, if anything. And,
right.
So
that one definitely had a interesting sense of humor and an interesting, should I say, make-believe concept.
Right.
And I've gotten to the point where I've not seen a Kevin Smith movie yet that I have hated.
Okay.
I'm not going to say that I've never seen a Kevin Smith movie that I have thought was meh, but I have at least say that I've never seen a Kevin Smith movie that I have hated. And I've only, as far as feature-length films, if you count Kilroy Was Here, which is an anthology, really, I haven't seen Holidays, which is also an anthology.
I think that Kevin Smith's best movie was actually Tusk, believe it or not.
Which we have covered on this channel.
Yes, I think that was the
we
first.
have.
Yeah.
But there are lots of them, and we're going to be covering a whole bunch of them in November, and we're going to be covering one of his short films in December.
And actually, Jay and Silent Bob, those movies are fairly meta, especially
the first one. Yeah,
my favorite moment in any Kevin Smith movie ever is definitely a very meta moment. Damn it, Ben! I said I'm busy.
Who would watch a Jay and Silent Bob film?
Right. Or Ben Affleck saying, yeah, probably Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, they put them in everything.
Some of us do reindeer games.
But anyway, so I guess that about does it for The Dead Don't Die. Just about, even despite the title, I guess this one's about ready to be put down. So back to you, Dave, I guess.
Alrighty. Well, hopefully you, our audience, has gone out and seen the film by now and come back to see what our discussion is all about. And whether you like our discussion or like the movie itself, let us know down in the comments what you thought.
Mhm.
And I guess next week we'll be covering a film that I put forward, which I think is kind of weird, which is Vanishing on 7th Street.
Just one film in the way of my Kevin Smith marathon.
Vanishing on 7th Street with Hayden Christensen.
Yep, Hayden Christensen, John Leguizamo, and a few others that I know of. But I'm not even going to say anything about the plot because I
apparently the guy that played our innkeeper in this movie is apparently in that movie as well.
Let's see.
Oh, yeah,
and
Larry Fessenden.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But in any case, did anyone have anything that they wanted to share with the audience before we said goodbye to them?
Well, I will say that on SeptumSin versus the World next Wednesday, we are covering a horror anime, and I expect everybody to go there because it's 25 minutes. And not only 25 minutes, but it's free on YouTube,
right.
Which is Kakarenbo, which is a cute little horror film from Japan that is there. And if y'all haven't watched any of the recent stuff, we are doing all horror pickups. And this week I am doing 5 micro budget films that would be fun to watch during the Halloween season. And then next week it will be for those of you who really want to get into Harry Potter this season but are a little bit, or either one, you're tired of Harry Potter because you watched it so much, or 2, you're tired of J.K. Rowling, which you can also understand. Well, I'm going to be doing some Harry Potter alternatives, which Jake may or may not be joining us on. So, hopefully you'll, give us some views and some love.
Alrighty.
All right.
On that note, everyone say good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Inside Movies Galore just makes you just want more. We've had all in the world of media to explore. Horror, anime, or Curious George. Our love of new things was our reward. It is the best night of our week.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.